Guten Morgen, guten Tag, guten Abend. Heute ist Kapitel 9.1 und 9.2. Let's do chapter 9.1, 9.2, adjective endings. So first we will go over the answers from the last set of exercises from the modal verbs. Clara says, Warum musst du schon gehen? Which is, why do you have to go already? Or why must you go already? Why must you go? Why do you have to go already? Sebastian says, Ich soll in 10 Minuten zu Hause sein. I'm supposed to be home in 10 minutes. It's like I should be home in 10 minutes, but for some reason I'm supposed to. Sounds a little better here, but both are fine. I should be home. I am supposed to be home in 10 minutes. Anja says, warum darf deine Schwester heute Abend nicht ausgehen? Which is, why is your sister not allowed to go out tonight? Why may your sister not go out tonight? As in, why is she not allowed to? And Katja replies, Meine Eltern mögen ihren Freund nicht. So mögen plus just a noun, no other verb, is like. So my parents don't like her boyfriend. Meine Eltern mögen ihren Freund nicht. Helge says, Warum möchtest du kein Bier? Why would you not like some beer? That's like in this moment. It's like he has just offered her a beer and she has declined. And then he's like, what? Why would you not like some beer? Everybody wants a beer, obviously. Why would you not like beer right now? And then Elisabeth replies, Ich mag Bier nicht. Es ist zu bitter. I don't like beer. It's too bitter. So the difference between ich möchte or du möchtest, why would you not like in this moment? And then Elisabeth says, Ich mag Bier nicht. I don't like it in general, not just that I wouldn't like it right now. Yeah. Hannes says, Morgen soll es sehr warm sein. Tomorrow, it's supposed to be very warm tomorrow, or it should be very warm tomorrow, so I've heard. And then Fritz replies, Wir können schwimmen gehen. So it's supposed to be very warm, should be very warm, yeah. And then wir können schwimmen gehen, we can go swimming. Yeah, we are able to go swimming, we can go swimming. And then we have this one in the simple past. So those were all in the present, and now we'll practice some past tense ones. Simple past, Aschenputtel durfte nicht mehr in einem Bett schlafen is Cinderella was not allowed to sleep in a bed anymore. So durfte, it's like have permission, or in English, or in the present tense you would say may, but you can't really put may in the past tense. So you have to say she was not allowed to sleep in a bed anymore. Sie musste neben dem Herd in der Asche schlafen. She had to sleep next to the stove in the ashes. So it's like in the present tense you could say sie muss, and that would be she must, or she has to. But in the past tense you can't say musted. You have to say she had to sleep in the ashes. Sie wollte einen Zweig als Andenken von ihrem Vater bekommen. She wanted to receive a branch as a souvenir from her father. Yeah. Sie wollte einen Zweig. So she wanted a branch. Yeah. Wanted, and then the other verb is, you see these main verbs, or these infinitive verbs are all at the end. So she wanted to receive, but the to receive is way at the end. So when you translate, you have to say she wanted a bunch of stuff. Oh, and then here's my other verb, so I got to put my other verb back over here. She wanted to receive. Yeah. Sie wollte auch zum Fest des Königs mitgehen, which is she wanted to go with them or go along as well, auch to the King's Festival. She wanted to go with them to the King's Festival. She wanted to. Sie wollte, and then mitgehen is the verb at the end there, which becomes this over here, to go with them or to come along maybe. Yeah. Sie durfte ohne Kleid und Schuhe nicht zum Fest mitgehen. Without a dress and shoes, she was not allowed to go to the festival. See, this ohne Kleid und Schuhe is without a dress and shoes. So I just put that first. Kind of sounded nice, but it's not necessary. The important part is she was not allowed to go. Sie durfte nicht zum Fest mitgehen. So mitgehen, of course, goes with the other verb. She was not allowed to go with them to the festival. Sie sollte allein zu Hause bleiben. She was supposed to stay at home. So in present tense, it would be sie soll allein zu Hause bleiben, which would be she should stay at home, present. But since we're in the past, we have to use this she was supposed to. And then in the Nummer 7, auf dem Fest durfte sie mit dem Königssohn tanzen. At the festival, she was allowed to dance with the king's son. So it's the simple past of dürfen, which is in the present tense, you can translate it as may, but in the past it has to be she was allowed to dance with the king's son. Und sie konnte erst als Letzte den Schuh anprobieren. She was able to try on the shoe as the last person, or she was the last person who was able to try on the shoe. This erst is an interesting situation. It usually means not until the last person was she able to try on the shoe, yeah. But the important part here for the moment is that sie konnte, she was able to try on the shoe as the last person. Okay, adjective endings. Here we go. Der Stift ist grün. The pen is green. Seems pretty straightforward. Nothing too tricky going on there. Der Stift ist grün. The pen is green. When an adjective stands alone, not preceding its noun, it does not require an ending. So grün is just hanging out here after the verb by itself, and it's just an adjective. That's how the adjective is in the dictionary. Just a normal adjective. But what if we say der grüne Stift? What's happened here is the adjective is now preceding its noun. It's attached to the front of the noun, you could say. And so because it's in a different position in relationship to the noun it describes, in this case it now requires an adjective ending that corresponds to the gender, number, and case of the noun. So what we have here is masculine. Der Stift is masculine. And this is going to be nominative. It's just on its default nominative. We don't have a whole sentence. We just got der Stift. And it's singular, masculine, nominative, and we've got a definite article, der, and all of those things go into the decision of which adjective ending to use. So, der grüne Stift, it's just got an E on the end. Normally grün doesn't have an E on the end, but in this case, because it's coming right before the noun, it does need that little ending. We can look at some more examples. So that one was masculine. Now let's look at a feminine. Die Tasche ist schwarz. The bag is black. So schwarz doesn't have an ending. That's just how you would find it in the dictionary, schwarz. But then die schwarze Tasche, now we've got this ending that it has appeared because of the positioning of this adjective. It's right before the noun, as opposed to here when it was far away from the noun after the verb. Yeah, so die schwarze Tasche, we need that little E ending. It's not always, you'll see there are different endings. In this case, we're going to do the E. And then das Buch ist alt. So here's the adjective. It's just hanging out by itself, no ending. But then das alte Buch, now the word alt is immediately before Buch. So we're going to do that little ending. Das alte Buch. Die Schuhe sind braun. The shoes are brown. Braun is the normal adjective. But if we want to put brown right before the word shoes, then it's die braunen Schuhe, and we have an en this time. There's another one of the possible adjective endings. So this is plural nominative with a definite article is how we determine that. And then we have comparisons. So der Stift ist grün, no ending, versus der grüne Stift. Die Tasche ist schwarz versus die schwarze Tasche. Das Buch ist alt versus das alte Buch. Die Schuhe sind braun versus die braunen Schuhe. So you can see the adjective endings for nouns in the nominative with definite articles. That's what we're looking at here. All these definite articles. Der, die, das, die, those are definite articles. And then these are all in the nominative. And we have a masculine, we have a feminine, we have a neuter, and we have a plural. So let's look at that one more time. So you'll see that a lot of them overlap. Like there's a handful of adjective endings, and a lot of them are appearing in multiple situations, and then sometimes you get a different one. So the thing is, since you're only having to passively recognize these, and you don't have to create them from scratch, it's a lot easier than trying to figure out which one to use. But if you're at all interested in being a good German speaker at some point, the people who use adjective endings correctly in speech and the people who don't, it's really the next level, right? So if you don't use the adjective endings correctly in speech, then you're never going to fool a German into thinking that you're German. But if you do, they'll be like, but what? You're not German and you can do adjective endings? They'll be very impressed, because not a lot of people put enough time into this to actually learn adjective endings where they can say them right spontaneously. So it takes a while, but I would encourage you to put time into it if you're at all interested in sounding really good when you talk. But since you just want to translate for now, you don't have to think too much about how to create them, just to recognize them enough so that you don't fall into any traps when you're translating. So we have der and then Kaffee. So these are going to be definite articles, and we just saw some examples. Der heiße Kaffee, the hot coffee. These are all nominative. Yeah. Die rote Bluse, that's feminine. Die rote Bluse. Das blaue Hemd, the blue shirt, das blaue Hemd. Die weißen Socken, so now the plural has that en, it's a little different. Die weißen Socken. Der schwarze Hund, the black dog, der schwarze Hund. Das schnelle Auto, the fast car. Die schnellen Autos, the fast cars. And then die weiße Katze, feminine singular. Yeah. So you see all the singulars that have just the e and then the plural en. And then a while back we did dieser, jeder, and welcher, the der words, right? And so just to remind you of like this, each, which, they work like der words. They have the same endings. So it's going to be the same thing with the adjective endings, where if you have der grüne Stift, but say you, instead of saying the green pen, you want to say this green pen, then that's fine. You'll say dieser to match up with that, and then you use the same adjective ending. You just pretend like it's der, and you just use the same ending you would use with der. So it's just to point out that those are the same. Die schwarze Tasche, diese schwarze Tasche, same thing. Das alte Buch, dieses alte Buch. Or die braunen Schuhe, diese braunen Schuhe. The brown shoes, these brown shoes. Same endings. So we have, for example, a little dialogue. Kundin, that's the customer, she says, wie viel kosten diese hübschen Blusen? How much do these good-looking blouses cost? How much do these attractive blouses cost? Diese, these. Hübschen is the adjective, attractive or good-looking. And then we've got this ending here because this is plural, blouses. Yeah. Verkäuferin is the salesperson. She says, die rote Bluse kostet 40 Euro und die weiße Bluse kostet 35 Euro. The red blouse with the ending costs 40 euros. In German, they don't, even if it's plural, there's no S on the euro, it's just Euro. Und die weiße Bluse, the white blouse, costs 35 euros. So yeah, feminine. Kundin says, wie viel kosten diese schicken Pullis? How much do these fashionable sweaters cost? Chic is fashionable or chic. So these fashionable sweaters, diese schicken Pullis. It's a plural there. Verkäuferin. Der weiße Pulli kostet 55 Euro und der rote kostet 60 Euro. So the white sweater costs 55 euros and the red one costs 60 euros. So this is one little exception. I told you a minute ago that it has to be immediately preceding its noun, except for if it's implied, right? So she just said Pulli already. They've been saying Pulli several times. So when she says der rote, it's implied. See, the article is still there. Even if the word Pulli has disappeared, the article is there. And when you translate it, you can say the red one. And so it's like Pulli is still there, even though it's been left out. But it's very different from the adjective being placed somewhere else. So technically the adjective is still there right before its noun, even though the noun is omitted. So it still needs the ending. Kunden says, wie viel kosten diese tollen sweatshirts? So these tollen, great sweatshirts. So plural ending there. Adjective ending to match this plural nominative noun. Das blaue Sweatshirt kostet 20 Euro und das rote kostet 30 Euro. So same thing. The blue sweatshirt, that's the ending we need for neuter singular nominative, costs 20 euros. And then the red, same thing, the red one, das rote, the red one in parentheses, costs 30 euros. Yeah. Okay, so das ist der grüne Stift. This is the green pen, still nominative. Das ist ein grüner Stift. This is a green pen, also nominative. But what we're changing here is the type of article. So here's a definite article, and here's an indefinite article. The green pen, a green pen. So ein grüner Stift. So you can see that the ending changes based on what kind of article you're using. Der grüne and ein grüner. So when I teach adjective endings, any word that ends in R, a lot of endings happen with R. I will emphasize that R at the end so you can really hear it, so it's clear. So that sounds like ein grüner Stift. But in real life, it doesn't sound that emphasized. It's more like, das ist ein grüner Stift. Grüner. So the R is just sort of swallowed at the end of it makes the vowel sound a little different. Ein grüner Stift. Yeah. So it's very subtle, but if you hear me like really, gurgling that R at the end or rolling the R or doing a uvular trill with the R at the end, it's because I want you to hear it. And in some dialects, they do that a little more than others, but in a lot of cases, you wouldn't hear it that strongly. Okay, das ist die schwarze Tasche. This is the black bag, definite article. But das ist eine schwarze Tasche. This is a black bag. So in the feminine nominative, it's the same. Die schwarze Tasche, eine schwarze Tasche. Das ist das alte Buch, the old book. Das ist ein altes Buch. This is an old book. So this one, see how the S was here on the definite article, but then not here on the adjective. And now the S is no longer on the article, so it's like migrated over to the adjective. Ein altes Buch. Okay, das sind die braunen Schuhe. These are the brown shoes. You can't do an indefinite article with a plural because indefinite articles imply one. So you can say a brown shoes, but you can say my brown shoes, and possessives work the same way as indefinite articles. So you need that ending when you're going to do a possessive plus a plural. So das sind meine braunen Schuhe. These are my brown shoes. So you see it's actually the same ending. Definite article or possessive indefinite article. Yeah, same. And then we could also do the negative article, the negative and indefinite article, which is keine. Das sind keine schwarzen Schuhe, which means these are not black shoes. These are brown shoes. Yeah. Keine schwarzen Schuhe, not black shoes. So that's got that en ending. So yeah, we can compare these. So we have, das ist der grüne Stift, das ist ein grüner Stift. Das ist die schwarze Tasche, eine schwarze Tasche. Das ist das alte Buch, das ist ein altes Buch. Das sind die braunen Schuhe, das sind meine braunen Schuhe. Or maybe even, das sind keine schwarzen Schuhe. So the different adjective endings when comparing the definite and indefinite articles. Here's the definite, here's the indefinite. So you can see that the indefinite has a lot more going on with this, more unique endings happening. And then the definite has just the E or the EN, depending on singular or plural. And then, so we have ein heißer Kaffee, eine rote Bluse, ein blaues Hemd. So this is what we had the definite articles before, but these are the same ones, but then with the indefinite articles. Ein heißer Kaffee. So you, ein heißer Kaffee, or ein heißer Kaffee. Yeah. Eine rote Bluse. You can hear the difference though between like a real schwa sound versus the ER rote, heißer. So hopefully you can hear the difference. Heißer, rote. So they do sound different. And then ein blaues Hemd, meine weißen Socken. Those are all with the indefinite articles. What about, this is masculine, Hund, ein schwarzer Hund or ein schwarzer Hund. Ein schnelles Auto for neuter. Meine schnellen Autos, my fast cars for plural. Eine weiße Katze, a white cat, indefinite article. So, of course, the possessives take the same endings as indefinite articles. Ein, mein, eine, meine, ein, mein, etc. So, when you have the adjectives with endings in between your article and your noun, they'll take whatever that same ending is, all the way down whatever the possessive is. Ein roter Apfel, mein roter Apfel, dein roter Apfel. So it doesn't matter whether it's mine, dein, sein, ihr, unser, any of those possessives, it's going to have that same adjective ending as if it were ein. And then we've got ein schwarzes, mein schwarzes, dein schwarzes, meine schönen Blumen, deine schönen Blumen, etc. Okay, so those were all with the definite articles and the indefinite articles / possessives, right? Now, sometimes you want to have an adjective and a noun, but you don't want to use an article. For example, with bread, we don't, the difference between mass nouns and count nouns. Count nouns are things that that you say, one book, 2 books, 3 books, right? But if you have bread, like 1 bread, 2 breads, you usually say 1 loaf of bread or 1 piece of bread or something, 1 slice of bread. But bread itself is just a blob, and that's why it sounds fine to use no article with it. Mass nouns, as in blob nouns, can take no article. So, for example, we want to say, das ist frisches Brot. This is fresh bread. That's what we want for neuter. This is neuter nominative with no article. Then we have, das ist hausgemachte Sojamilch. This is homemade. That's a feminine. Milch is feminine. So, das ist hausgemachte Sojamilch. No article, feminine nominative. Das ist billiger Wein. This is cheap wine. Yeah, liquids and bread, yogurt often does this, right? So billiger Wein, and you can see Wein is masculine. So this is the ending for no article and masculine in the nominative. Das sind schwarze Katzen. Now with plurals, you can leave off the article even if it's a count noun, like cats. So, das sind schwarze Katzen. These are black cats. Got that ending right there. So let's try a few of them out. Kaffee is masculine, so heißer Kaffee, just hot coffee, no article. Heißer Kaffee. Kalte Cola, feminine, kalte Cola. Kaltes Bier, cold beer. So see, these are all liquids because liquids work very well with no article. And then with the plural, you can do any type of noun because it's you don't need the article with plurals a lot of times. So schnelle Autos. Schnelle Autos is plural with no article. So when there is no article, the adjective endings are the same as with an ein word. So all of the ein schnelles Auto, eine weiße Katze, all the ein category, you'll see that if you put ein here, it would be ein heißer Kaffee, eine kalte Kohle, ein kaltes Bier. These are the same articles. Whether you have ein or no ein, those are the same, but the plural is different. The plural, you have die schnellen Autos, meine schnellen Autos, so that's the ein word, but with no article, then it changes to just the e. So that one is a little bit of an outlier. So plurals with and within an article, we'll compare these ones again. Die schwarzen Socken sind schick, which is the black socks are fashionable. Meine schwarzen Socken sind schick. My black socks are fashionable. Schwarze Socken sind schick. Black socks are fashionable. Like in general, black socks are fashionable. Schwarze Socken sind schick. So you see the en on both the definite and indefinite articles, but then no article in the plural, just the e. Okay. So now we have some more no article situations. Schnaps is masculine. Schnaps means hard liquor in German. I think in English it refers to a slightly different type of alcohol. But Schnaps means like vodka, tequila, gin, like hard liquor. Yeah. So masculine, starker Schnaps. Starker Schnaps. And then, of course, Musik is feminine. So gute Musik, everybody knows that the universal symbol for good music is David Bowie. Still, so we have Wasser, which is neuter. Stilles Wasser. So that's still water or flat water. Stilles Wasser. Non-bubbly water, flat water. Schneller Autos, fast cars. Yeah, so those are all with no articles. Yeah, when there's no article, the adjective endings are the same as with an ein word, except for that plural situation is different. So we can have, die schwarzen Socken sind schick, meine schwarzen Socken sind schick, schwarze Socken sind schick. Okay, so we have a summary of how these all work. Masculine, these are in, everything's in the nominative so far. Der grüne Stift, die schwarze Tasche, das alte Buch, die braunen Schuhe. And then with an ein word, you see they all change, especially like just the E, der grüne, changes to ein grüner. Eine schwarze, the feminine doesn't change between an ein word and a der word. The neuter does change. Das alte becomes ein altes. And then the plural stays the same. Die braunen, keine braunen. And then with no article, you see ein grüner Stift is the same as guter Kaffee, ER, on both of those. And the feminine has got the E in both cases, gute Milch. And then the neuter has the ES in both cases, gutes Bier, ES. But then the plural, after being en here and en here, it just becomes the E, no article. Okay, so we can look at some more examples. Ist das spanischer Wein? Is this Spanish wine? And so we've got this ending here, masculine. It's a nominative. Ist das bayerische Weißwurst? Is this Bavarian sausage? So feminine, Wurst, feminine, so that's our ending there. Ist das deutsches Bier? Bier is neuter, so we have no article. We're going to want that es ending. Ist das deutsches Bier? Sind das griechische Oliven? So plural, just the E, no article. So are these Greek olives? Are these Greek olives? Yeah. Okay. So, Schilder für ein Geschäft. One way to notice adjectives a lot is to look at signs and like advertisements. They use a lot of adjectives to describe things, right? So, especially with no articles. Sommer, Sonne, kühles Bier. Sommer, Sonne, kühles Bier. And you see it's got that es ending because Bier is neuter. So I had some other new ones I invented. Grüne Äpfel, ein Dutzend für ein Euro. So green apples, a dozen for €1. It's a pretty good price, I think. So this is plural, grüne Äpfel. That's why you have the ending there. Verschimmeltes Brot, kostenlos, which is moldy bread for free, without cost. So verschimmelt is the adjective, which means moldy, and then Brot is neuter. So that's why we have this es ending, same as kühles Bier, verschimmeltes Brot. Gigantische Hosen, €100. Gigantic pants, €100. Gigantisch is then, Hosen is pairs of pants, several pairs of pants, just the E ending for the no article and plural. Okay, so then of course we had the accusative, right? We were just doing adjective endings all in nominative so far, but we learned the accusative. It was like, Jens kauft den Pulli, Jens kauft einen Pulli. It was for direct objects and for durch, für, ohne, gegen, prepositions, right? So we had the nominative. That's just regular articles in the nominative, right? And then we had the accusative, just some articles. Accusative with some articles. But then we want to add in some adjectives into our accusative. And so the only thing you have to worry about being different from the ones we just learned in nominative is the masculine. So the feminine, the neuter, and the plural, those are all the same adjective endings we were just talking about. But then the masculine, in the same way it changes from der to den and ein to einen in the articles, the adjective endings in the accusative are just en to match that change. Den schwarzen Pulli, einen schwarzen Pulli. So that just mirrors that same change with the den and einen. So we have adjective ends in the nominative, and then we can compare adjective endings in the accusative. So these three columns, feminine, neuter, and plural, these are exactly the same, all identical. But then the masculine nominative, der schwarze Pulli, ein schwarzer Pulli, and then guter Kaffee, that all changes basically to an N situation. They all become en. Den schwarzen, einen schwarzen, guten Kaffee. Yeah, the one thing I would note here so far is that en endings kind of look like verbs. So if you're not familiar with the adjective ending situation, and you don't know that this is an adjective necessarily, and you see an en ending, you might try to think of it as a verb, and that could mess up a translation. And also we have these ones, right? These en adjective endings can make adjectives look like verbs. And so that's why it's important to be familiar with them, because they could mess up your translation. Okay, so we have adjective endings with no article. So we have these ones right here, the er in the nominative, en in the accusative. So we have der Kellner is the server. He says, möchten Sie lieber schottischen oder kanadischen Lachs? Would you prefer Scottish or Canadian salmon? So those are the two adjectives. Schottisch is Scottish, Kanadisch is Canadian, and Lachs is masculine. So because there's no article here, so it's this one right here. Schottischen, accusative masculine, no article, oder Kanadischen, same thing. And then the guest says, heute esse ich kanadischen Lachs. So he replies with the same accusative because it's still the direct article, or the direct object. Heute esse ich kanadischen Lachs. Guten Kaffee, kanadischen Lachs, same thing. So now it's important to recognize, again, as always, what's the subject and what's the direct object, and that will tell you whether it's nominative or accusative, and that will tell you what's going on with the adjective endings. So, der schwarze Hund heißt Beethoven. Of course, that's a very good name for a dog, I think. Der schwarze Hund, the black dog. Ich adoptiere den. So now, since we know we're in the accusative, den, masculine accusative, schwarzen Hund. So that's going to be a different ending. Das Auto fährt sehr schnell. So that's the subject, right? We know we need das rote Auto fährt sehr schnell. The red car drives very fast. Versus, ich kaufe das rote Auto. It's the direct object, now it's accusative, but it doesn't have to change because it's neuter. So it looks the same. Okay, so die weiße Katze heißt Charlotte. So we have, it's a feminine and nominative, pretty straightforward. The white cat is named Charlotte. Ich adoptiere die weiße Katze. Same thing. Oh, it's the direct object now, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. It's the same ending. Die, now we're in the plural. Die schwarzen Katzen sind sehr freundlich. The black cats are very friendly. It's nominative. It's a subject. And then ich adoptiere die schwarzen Katzen. Now it's in the accusative, but it doesn't really matter because it has the same ending. Okay, so let's try. Ein Hund. So that's going to be, you can tell that's going to be the subject once you read further in the sentence. Ein schwarzer Hund is an indefinite article, so that's what's making that happen. Ist ein, and then Haustier means pet, house animal, companion animal. And so it's neuter. Tier, meaning animal, is neuter. So we want the indefinite article and neuter. It's going to be nominative again because it's a predicate noun. Yeah. So, ein schwarzer Hund ist ein gutes Haustier means a black dog is a good companion animal. Ich adoptiere einen, so you might be able to guess based on this, einen, what that adjective ending is going to be, schwarzen. So I adopt a black dog, and then of course it is in the masculine, accusative, direct object with an indefinite article. Yeah, so Auto is neuter. With the ein word, it's going to be ein rotes Auto. It's a nominative. But what about in the accusative? Ich kaufe ein rotes Auto. It's the same thing. So nothing too tricky there. Eine feminine is kind of the easy one. Eine weiße Katze ist immer freundlich. A white cat is always friendly. Don't you know that about white cats? Ich adoptiere eine weiße Katze. So it doesn't matter, nominative or accusative, same thing. And then in the plural, schwarze Katzen sind auch sehr freundlich. Black cats are also very friendly. Ich adoptiere auch schwarze Katzen. I also adopt black cats. Got a lot of cats by now. Okay, here we have a feminine with no article, right? So we have gute Musik ist zeitlos. Nominativ. It's nominative. It's a subject. Ich höre gern. So this is like, I like to listen to good music. Now it's the direct object, but it's feminine, so it doesn't really do much. Ich höre gern gute Musik. I like to listen to good music. And then we have Wasser is neuter, no article. So stilles Wasser ist in Amerika populär. So that's the subject, it's nominative. But you could also make it the direct object and say, viele Amerikaner trinken stilles Wasser. Same thing, nothing too tricky. But now the masculine a little bit is changing. So Schnaps is masculine, so starker Schnaps ist nicht immer teuer, meaning strong hard liquor is not always expensive. And then ich kaufe nur, now this is the one where it really changes. It's masculine, and we're going to be in the accusative. It's the direct object, so we need that en ending. Ich kaufe nur starken Schnaps. I buy only strong hard liquor. Okay, so now we have a plural. Schnelle Autos sind fast immer teuer. Fast cars are almost always expensive. This is that false friend, false cognate. Fast means almost. Schnell means fast, but fast means almost. So fast cars are almost always expensive. Ich kaufe nur schnelle Autos. I buy only fast cars. I only buy fast cars. Okay, so we have nominative, with summary of those again, and the accusative as well, all the ones we were going over just now. And then we did the genitive already. Do you remember the genitive? And we actually have an adjective ending. Wo ist die Adjektivendung in diesem Titel? Where is the adjective ending occurring in the wild on the DVD cover? That is, of course, die Nacht der lebenden Toten, which is the night of the living dead. Living dead. Living is an adjective. So we have an ending on it because it's right in front of its noun, the dead. Yeah, so I have, this is actually uploaded on a Canvas for you already. This is just, there's lots of charts of adjective endings. There's one in the back of your textbook, and there's this one if you find it convenient to print out or keep somewhere where you can reference it. This is one that I made in a way that is most logical for me. So you can compare the ones you have and whichever one seems to be easiest for you to reference. So we have nominative, definite article, and then all of the genders and numbers. And then nominative, indefinite article, or possessive pronoun. So I just list out a few of those, but of course you could go through all the other possessive pronouns. And then with no article, there's those. And then accusative, same thing, definite, indefinite, or possessive, and then no article. And then the dative has all of its other endings, and then the genitive has a bunch of endings as well. So it seems when we did the nominative and the accusative, it seems like, well, it seems like a lot to think about, right? But then once you get to the dative and the accusative, they almost every single one becomes the same. So if you look at these endings, it's en all the way down except for the no article. But let's look at just the definite and indefinite. En all the way down, en for all of these, en. And then here in the genitive as well, en, and then en. So the dative and the genitive adjective endings are actually a lot easier because there aren't as many different ones. But then if you just, with no article, they do sort of match dem, gutem, der, kalter, dem, gutem, and then, yeah, I mean, I guess this matches the meinen, roten Sachen. Yeah, so then you just need to, and these ones hardly come up with a genitive, but they could come up. But basically, you don't have to memorize all these endings. You just need to recognize them and not feel like they're a stumbling block when you encounter them, and just recognize what the ending is, and it may give you some clue about what gives you clues about whether the noun you're dealing with is the direct object or the indirect object or the subject. So you can get clues from them without having to memorize them enough to really produce them on your own. Yeah. So we have Kapitel 9, adjective endings. Yeah, so this is some of the same stuff. So alle Anfang ist schwer. Schwer is, of course, difficult, no ending. And these are a bunch of adjectives with no endings. Interessant, schwierig, gut, no endings. But, yeah, and uninflected adjectives, meaning adjectives that haven't been changed grammatically, they, just normal adjectives, they are usually they look just like adverbs. There's not really much of a difference between adjectives and adverbs in German. Der Wagen ist schnell, the car is fast. And then der Wagen fährt schnell, the car moves fast, right? Or drives fast, but drives quickly. It's an adverb, yeah. So luckily, the adjectives and adverbs are basically the same in German. And then, so we have adjectives with endings that give some examples, just like the ones I gave you. And then, oh yeah, this is important to note. So proper noun adjectives are not capitalized in German, like right here, right? In German, right here. If it's a noun, of course, it's going to be capitalized. But if it's an adjective, German theater, Deutsches Theater, it's adjective, it's not capitalized. But in English, we would capitalize this. It doesn't matter whether it's a noun or adjective. We capitalize it because it's like a proper. It's adjective that comes from a proper noun. But in German, you don't. It has to be a real noun to be capitalized. Okay. So, and then, oh yeah, the ER, if it's derived from a city name, then it is the ER no matter what else is going on. So, of course, Berliner or Hamburger or Frankfurter. Yeah, so those, it's like English, New Yorker, Berliner, yeah. But you don't need to use the other adjective endings on those when it's from a city. And then we have, these are the adjective endings with no article. So not preceded by a der or ein word. That just means no article. And these are the same ones that you'll find on the chart I was just showing you. And then they're very common in the plural. You can take any plural noun and not use an article, and it sounds fine. So it's important, yeah, so in this case, so with a noun where the plural form looks exactly like the singular form, then it's really the adjective ending that's going to tip you off to the fact that it's plural, right? So sehr geehrter Lehrer, sehr geehrter is a way to open a letter, and it means very honored. Geehrt means honored. And so the thing is, this ending tips you off to the fact that it's singular masculine, right? And then this ending tips you off to the fact that it's either feminine or plural afterwards. And you know that Lehrer is actually masculine. So because the adjective ending is plural, it means this has already been pluralized. So this needs to be most honored teachers versus this one is most honored teacher in the singular. Schönes Mädchen is beautiful girl, but then the plural doesn't add anything. Mädchen is the plural form as well. So the ending will correspond to either singular, neuter, or plural. So this would need to be translated as beautiful girls, not just beautiful girl. Lieber Student und lieber Studentin, that would be for singular. Dear student, like to open a letter or an email. Dear student, singular, and dear student, feminine, singular. But liebe Studentin, at least this one you can actually see the plural as well. But the adjective ending still reinforces the idea that these are plural because it's very different from this ER, right? And in singular adjectives not preceded by an article occur largely with non-countable nouns. That's what I was talking about with mass nouns, non-countable mass nouns. Regen, Luft, Wetter, rain, air, weather, etc. Yeah, so here is also a chart for you, and this has the ein words and the der words, the definite and the indefinite articles, and that is also for your reference. Yeah. Oh, it says the adjective system may look complicated, but in fact the endings provide you, as a careful reader, a good deal of useful information. Yeah. So it's a little overwhelming at first, but they will become your friends eventually. So the combination of D plus EN is an immediate tip-off that the noun is plural, and then maybe add a nominative or accusative, so watch out for that. And then the indefinite article for both masculine and neuter nouns in the nominative provides an important indicator. Ein plus ER has to be in the nominative, right? Subject or predicate. And an ein word followed by E, ending in E, followed by the adjective in EN indicates a plural. Yeah, so that's probably the biggest pitfall you can encounter is whether you can tell if it's plural or singular. And then the additional N on dative plural nouns help you distinguish from the plural and singular when we learn the dative. And then genitive, of course, just like we talked about with the genitive, the S on masculine neuter genitive is still singular because it shows possession or ownership, that kind of S, right? And then a few loan words are an exception: die Autos, die Babys, die Taxis. But in general, the vast majority of words, the S is for genitive, not for plural. And then the N nouns, these special masculine N nouns, take an EN ending in all cases of the nominative. So yeah, they would have then these EN ending as well. But this one is, yeah, so den guten Menschen is accusative singular, and den guten Menschen would be also dative plural. So that overlap can happen as well. Okay, so let's just do some exercises to test it out. So go ahead and translate these sentences, and then you can note what type of article: definite, indefinite, no article, and then note the gender case number of the noun that the adjective describes. So those are some adjectives, and then this story contains a bunch of adjectives, so do the same thing with this one. And then if you want even more practice, I know it's overwhelming, but if you want even more practice, you can do a bunch more of these. These already have the answers in them. So the other ones we'll do the answers for at the beginning of the next unit. But these, just to give you even more practice, those are there with their answers already. And that's going to be it for this part of Chapter 9. And I will see you in the video for the next part of Chapter 9. Vielen Dank. Tschüss. Auf Wiedersehen. Bis gleich.